Welcome back to Blacks in Motion. And like I said, I'm going to recap the big NFL culmination game, the Super Bowl 48. That's right, the Super Bowl. Everybody tuned in. A matter of fact, it set the record as the highest event ever watched in America. Yeah, you got that right, of all time. This Super Bowl 48, to me, didn't disappoint, but I'll address that a little bit later. And as I said, the Seattle Seahawks were victorious, but nobody could have estimated that they were going to blow out the Broncos 43-8. 43-8, are you serious right now? But hey, I'm going to tell you, if you watched the game like I did, there was a defensive clinic going on literally from the first snap. The Seattle Seahawks impinged their will upon the Denver Broncos, didn't let them up. And it was like what I said. They had the defensive advantage, if you remember that from my last segment. And I told you this would lead to the Seattle Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. So look, I tell people like this all the time. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. And as we see in the Super Bowl 48, that's what the Seahawks did. Now, with that defense, the player on the Broncos who was affected the most, that's right, offensive MVP and superstar Peyton Manning. And how was he affected? Well, you should have seen it. He was kind of shook from the first snap, even though it wasn't his fault. It was the center. The snap went over his head, and they had a safety. It was the fastest score in Super Bowl history. The Seattle Seahawks were up 2-0 before you could even blink your eye. But look, I tried to tell people, Peyton Manning is not all the way healed. I didn't trust his arm. And if you look at his throwing motion, he had to totally change it since he's had the last neck surgery. And what the defense was able to do was hurry him, hit him after he got out of the pass, and all these different things like that. It made the pocket collapse, and he had to change his throwing timing, and that messed up the entire offense. A lot of people just thought he was going to go in there and be Peyton Manning and light him up. But no, that is not what happened. And yes, those errant throws turned into 3-and-outs and turnovers, and they had 4 of them in the game. And usually if you win the turnover battle, you'll win the game. The Seattle Seahawks even ran one of those interceptions back for a touchdown. They made it easy for the offense on the Seattle Seahawks. They just had to sit back and play their game and convert first downs. So, talking about Seattle and the leadership of young quarterback Russell Wilson and that young defense, that young secondary, what's their future? Well, they have a few guys that they need to focus on in the free agency, but for the most part, that team's going to be back and they have everybody under contract. That's a serious impact player on that team. So look for them to possibly, dare I say it, be a dynasty. Well, I'm going to be excited to see it. I like the Seahawks. Still a Cowboys fan, but I do like the Seattle Seahawks, and look for them to be right up in the championship mix next year. The last thing I want to address about the game, for all the people out there that was either going for Peyton Manning or going for the Denver Broncos or thought the game was going to be close, just because it was a blowout does not mean that it was a sucky game. The game did not suck. It's just that most of you casual fans are not fans of defensive football. Y'all are fans of high-flying, high-scoring. Well, that's only one aspect of the game. If you can't appreciate defense like offense, then maybe you need to turn the channel. But the NFL's too good for that because, like I said, highest-rated TV event of all time. But hey, that's what I think. It was a defensive masterpiece put on by the Seattle Seahawks. Stay tuned right here. I'm going to come back in my next piece, and we're going to talk about NBA Commissioner David Stern. Stay logged on.